hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame. That means it was as a fiery flame. So we look at a fiery flame and we can see that golden, that golden color. You understand, that pure gold and glistening color. And we look at the thrones, you understand, of the King of Kings. We see this very same, you understand, the same image here. And it says, and his wheels as burning fire. And his wheels as burning fire. So what we see right there is the great conflict. You understand? This great conflict once again reemerged. The beast reemerged. You understand? After the Son of Man was born, we see this deadly wound of the beast, you understand, being healed in 1929, the Lateran Treaty. We see the crowning of the King of Kings. We see this war, which was the real pretext, the real cause of World War II, was the failure of the League of Nations to live up to the covenant that they made with the King of Kings of Ethiopia, the covenant they made with the anointed in his kingly character, with Christ in his kingly character. And we can now look at Daniel chapter 2, you understand, again, and in Daniel chapter 2 verse 44, it becomes clear that when they fight against that kingdom, you understand, the ancient, it says, in those days, in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. So all the 10 horns, all these kingdoms, the club of Rome, will be consumed by the kingdom of the King of Kings and his Christ, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands. You understand? It was not the work of men and people. Thus, the Ark of the Covenant was not stolen. You understand? Yahweh God, the God of Israel, Elohe Israel, had divorced Israel and he betrothed Ethiopia. You understand? This is by his hands, just like the stone was cut out of the mountain. That little kingdom, that little Davidic kingdom, the kingdom of David being renewed. And we know the kingdom of David was centered in Hebron or Hebron, you understand, like the Chabarim teaching, and that kingdom of David, you understand, represents the kingdom of Judah, and in Judah is Zion, and Zion is the royal palace or the house of great King David, and his imperial majesty's title is Moa Anbesa Ze'im Negeda Yehuda, the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. It's very important that we understand that the conquering line, not of Ihud, but of Judah, of Yehuda, not one who is converted to it, but of Yehuda, of the action. That's why I said the kingdom should not be left to other people. It would not be left to any other people, even if the kingdom was to, like what with the Israelites in the wilderness. The one generation, the parents disobeyed and they wandered until they died, and then the children went into the promised land. So the promises was not fulfilled in the disobedient, but it was fulfilled in the obedient. That's why it's very important to obey and then love. To obey, you understand, is to show our love to the King of Kings and to his Christ. So we ask you, according to the description given, you understand, in Revelation as well as Daniel, and Revelation again, chapter 4, verse 3, where it says, and he that sat, remember we're touching on the one who sat on the throne, the Son of Man, you understand, after the thrones were cast down. Look at Europe before the King of Kings. Before the King of Kings came, you understand, all the European nations were so-called Christian kings. They claimed to be empires, going back such and such, and having the right to rule and the right of kings and all of that. But look what it says in Daniel chapter 7 and 9 concerning the Ancient Days. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. Till the thrones were cast down. And we have this in the Magnificat of Qidus and Glamarium as well. Until the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. This is speaking of the coronation of the King of Kings. Because notice it doesn't say white as wool. In Revelation now we find it to be white, you understand, as snow. You understand? White like wool and white as snow. So we have now this aging. You understand? This seeming aging. But even in his young days, they say he was like an ancient. You understand? Even as a little boy, the son of man, Lich Teferi, you understand, was like an ancient. You understand? But then it says, his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Was as burning fire. So when he went into exile in the old capital of the Roman Empire, Bath, England, you understand? It's like the war and everything burned up all over there. You understand? England almost lost its right to rule. England only recovered itself. England is the last of these monarchies because of its what they call it, 11th hour assistance. You understand? It's 11:45 assistance of the King of Kings and the Samaritats of Ethiopia and the martyrs of Ethiopia and the righteous and holy Ethiopians. So now we have here in Revelation 4:3, and he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. He was like to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like to an emerald. This also proves that green in the tribe of Judah, you understand, that green is up on top. This is another proof that green is on top. You understand? This is another proof that, because it says in sight like an emerald. Emerald is a green color. Emerald is the stone for the tribe of Judah. You understand? It's the birthstone of the tribe of Judah. And the rainbow, now we have the rainbow circle throne. We have the Aranguade Bicha K. You understand? Round about the throne, the Sendek Alama. You understand? And the main point is he that sat, he who now sat, the Ancient of Days that sat, was to look upon. This is why every eye will see him, because of the camera. The camera now gives us much of the evidence of many things that most people would have never known if there was no way to record these things. Now we have the recording of the Ancient of Days, which is connected in these four comings of Christ. The Ancient of Days, the coming in glory, the setting up of the kingdom, and then, see, we're between the time now of the kingdom set, you understand, and entering into the kingdom that's metaphorically called the Samai, or the heaven, the Samayat, the Mengishta Samayat, to the restoring of the earth. You understand? We have not gotten to the restoring of the earth, because those who are polluting the earth with global harming, not global warming is a counterfeit, it's a lie. What's really going on is global harming. What's really going on in this present time is global harming. But Revelation has a word to say about that. So based on these descriptions, which one describes the Christ? Which one describes the anglicized, according to the mispronunciation, Jesus Christ, or really Jesus Christos, Yehoshua HaMoshiach, according to Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 to 15? Does this one have hair like wool? Does this one have hair white as wool? Does this one have eyes as a flame of fire? Does this one have feet like burnt brass? Hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame. That means it was as a fiery flame. So we look at a fiery flame and we can see that golden, that golden color. You understand, that pure gold and glistening color. If we look at the thrones, you understand, of the King of Kings, we see this very same, you understand, the same image here. And it says, and his wheels as burning fire.
Okay.
The truth has overcome the lies, the good news of his majesty in his Christ. And it is vital that we raise our tribal flag, the flag of the conquering lion of the tribe of Yehuda.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right.